Lady Vox has one part, and Lord Nagafin has the other part. Those are the two Paladin books that you get on them sometimes. And then you have to bring him the Phylactery of Miracle, so you have to go kill Miracle the Lich in Everfrost Peaks. So you've got about 4 raid mobs, if you want to count Miracle and Sir Lucan as raid mobs. And originally, back then, they certainly were considered raid mobs. So you got 4 raid mobs just to get the Soul Fire and Fiery Avenger piece. Then when Kunart comes out, you get the Fiery Defender, which is like the full 100% Paladin epic. And the Fiery Defender is kind of all about the story of Arakatil, a famous Paladin of Quellius, and it's like his story of redemption. Basically, he was so like invested in doing good, like the Arthas story from WoW, that he became egotistical and arrogant, and he like went to the plains to challenge Khazad-Thul himself, and he was like permanently cursed, and only by freeing him do you gain the Fiery Defender. And that's like the whole thing. Like, you've got this flaming sword, super powerful, called the Fiery Avenger, but vengeance is not the proper path of the Paladin. Defense is the proper path of the Paladin. So when you have the Fiery Avenger, you know your quest is not yet complete. How's this music volume? Is it too loud? Okay. Yeah, the Paladin is always, it's always been like one of the most flavorful classes. It's really awesome to play. They have a ton of really awesome quests. Hey, probably not. So the Regurgitonic, it's so stupid, man. I've got to give the Regurgitonic to Mammoth, which is why I've got current goals Mammoth problem. I'm trying to get the Bone Thunder Staff. So right now I have the Thunder Staff, and I've got the Regurgitonic. Basically, Mammoth ate this guy's son in Surefall Glade, and that guy's son had the Bale List 2, which is like a list of Antonius Bale's spies around the world. So I need to recover the Bale List 2 along with my Thunder Staff and bring it back to my Guildmaster, and they will reward me with the Bone Thunder Staff, which is a weapon I'd like. The Mammoth problem here is that Mammoth is KOS to me, so I can't give him the Regurgitonic. At least not without some tricks. There's one quest I can reliably do to increase my faction, but I would need to do the quest 55 times in order to become dubious with Mammoth. So it's definitely a tough one for me. And furthermore, that quest requires me to somehow interact with Crow from Crow's Pub, who cons dubious to me and thus will not sell to me. So we're really in a tight spot with this. However, ultimately I could kill Mammoth and just loot the items I need from his corpse. I would just prefer to avoid that. And he's level 20, so I would need to wait a few levels to even try. It's really tough, because if I go in there and I try to interact with Mammoth and I fail and I get aggro, everything in Surefall Glade will assist him, so there's not like a good exit strategy for me. And since this is a permadeath character, it really puts us on the edge. It's probably the single riskiest thing I've got on the agenda for the next couple days. No, I wish. That'd be cool. No, I'm just a lifelong fan. I'm really into the lore. I'm always happy to talk about any kind of lore on almost any subject in EQ. Hey, Kettle One, welcome back, dude. What's going on? Honestly, some of like the biggest mysteries that still puzzle me that I want to get to the bottom of one day in EQ are like, who created the green mist? Because they give a description of the green mist and there's like hints at which gods took part in it, but it's never confirmed explicitly. There used to be some flavor text that Lord Seru gave when you engaged him that is no longer in the game, and I'd like to know about that. There's a weird mechanic that causes Plane of Fear to completely respawn when Khazak Thul, so I've seen it one time live in game, so I know 100% that it happens. CT will spawn for a moment, respawn all of Plane of Fear, and then despawn. And he does like a few custom shouts when it happens. I saw it, I want to say 9 years ago, the last time I saw it. So I know it happens. I'd love to get to the bottom of that. But those aren't really lore things, I guess, except for the Green Mist piece. It'd be cool to learn who the Sleeper's mom is. So we know the Sleeper's father is Dozakar the Cursed. He could probably answer some of them, and I've badgered him a little bit about some of the questions. But yeah, it's gonna be like more the people that he has on for interviews and stuff that could probably help me. Yeah, like Scott Hartzman from Treon Worlds. We'll see. It depends on your race. What race are you? Oh, sorry, Troll, Shadow Knight. Yeah, there's some good quests that you should do. The Grob Cleaver, I think, is available to you. This guy's beating me up, guys. Gotta cure that slow. There's the Hee Meat quest, there's the Grob Cleaver quest, there's Huckulk's Love, Huckulk's Helm. You can get a magical helmet from your guildmaster. Those are all really good. The best resource I find tends to be just checking out the P99 wiki for Grob and looking at what quests are available, and then maybe also looking at P99 wiki for Agok and seeing what quests are available there. This guy might be this might be a bad one. So a couple years ago they buffed up the dot lines for shamans. Oh no, did he heal himself or did someone else heal him? If someone else healed him, we're in a real problem here. Alright, so we interrupted his drowsy casting. He's using minor healing. My healing's better than his. But he's got probably infinite mana. Alright, this is it. We got lay on hands. That's the only way out of this. He should run out of mana soon. Yeah, he's not spamming spells. He was spamming them earlier. Here comes Tainted Breath. There's lay on hands. He might be more manageable now that he's running out of mana here. I don't have enough mana to cure disease. I don't know, boys. It's at 20%. I think we got this. Whew. It was sketch for a second, dudes. Yeah, now we're in the danger zone for the next 90 minutes or so. 70 minutes. What do we get? Cracked staff. Kill me. These guys are supposed to occasionally drop the rune totem staff, and I think that was like a good mob candidate for dropping the rune totem staff. Alright, we'll met over here for a sec. So I've got a resource here for you on the Troll Shadow Knight quests. Let me find it. Alright, so this list I'm about to link was made by P99 member named Riker, also an FOH member. They go through like the some of the newbie zones. One of them is Ogok, which your troll should be able to benefit a lot from these. There's also that one. Hey, my slash played at 50 was 39 hours. Man, I am quickly not liking this new song. There's my screenshot when I made 50. You can see my slash played in the chat window on the bottom right. So this is the Hee Hee Meat quest, can give you the Grob Cleaver. That's a really good one. All right, we're back in fighting shape. So this is what we're looking at right now, 13, 88%. We're pretty encumbered, but we're just gonna deal with it until we hit 14, then we'll go and sell. I made some nice plat farming some bandits. Every bandit sash I get tends to average me 4 to 5 platinum. So that's really awesome. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to deal with bandits because, you know, the bandits I'm familiar with in West Corona tend to be in these huge bandit camps. But there's also like a lot of what you call like road bandits or like pathers that path around like a satellite around the camps. and I was able to handle them pretty easily. I can even take up to like 3 bandits at once without much issue. And another bonus is that while we're out in West Karana, we get to fight grizzlies. There's a ton of grizzlies. So in Kanos Hills, because of the plague of the Karanas and the whole Bertoxilus thing, you tend to only run into putrid grizzly bears, which is nice for making platinum because you turn in the hides for like 2 to 3 plat. But it's not good because we need the grizzly bear skin in order to make these bags. So I was finally able to make 2 last night out of like 5 combines. 10 slot, 10% weight reduction, 2.5 weight, slot size giant, and it's a lower trivial than handmade backpacks. Strictly better, easier to make. I don't know why. I wonder if Elite Ledge is open. Hey, what's up, Capes? Capes, the original Biggs. Yeah, we're crushing it right now. Did you make it in time to watch me fight that yellow split paw knoll? Oh man, during that one, we were like planning the reroll. I'm dealing with that legendary Paladin DPS right now. Yeah, probably Ranger next. Once we hit level 50 on this character. So one of my plans for like the next couple days, if not today, is to go to Crush. I wanna get the shiny brass shield just in case I need that bonus MR at some point. And I also want to get 2 brass earrings, which are the 2 AC earrings. I got one of these. I had a second one. Yeah, I have a second one. But if you watch, this doesn't actually improve my AC when I equip it. So for right now, we're just going HP 1, agility on the other. But the brass earrings are plus 2 AC apiece, so it's just like a raw improvement. And if I stay there till like 20, I might be able to do Ambassador Divin, get the little dagger, the agility or dexterity dagger with magic resist for my range slot. Why is this here? Yeah, I think Enchanter solo would be fun to watch, but it's like such a foregone conclusion, you know what I mean? Though I guess a Deathless Enchanter would be kind of tough just because you're always playing that high-risk, high-reward game. I can only imagine all the hate I would get in here if I tried to do this as an Enchanter. People would be like, oh, you're doing an Enchanter? Hey, thanks, Swig Elf. Appreciate it, dude. Yeah, so here's another lore question. What was going to go in here? Right, it seems like this was going to be like some kind of bear, like some kind of big beast mob. Like if you look at the walls and everything, kind of some unique textures thrown in here. Like we don't really see this floor anywhere else. All these bones scattered about implies that something was being consumed up here regularly. It's kind of like kept away from everything else. And then we've got, what do we have down here? We have 2 to 3 null guards that spawn here with a water barrel. Like they're posted up, guarding whatever's supposed to be up there. But they just never added it in. I wonder if it's because like this room has pathing errors. I noticed when I pull mobs in this room to fight them, I get trained. But yeah, seems like this room was like an unfinished little spot that they never came back to. Ah, So I don't know if you were, I know this is like a little bit before your time, but we were just looking at one of the rooms in Blackborough that seemed like it always seemed like it was unfinished. It'd be cool if we could ever get some kind of like insight on this room over here. Just pull these guys up here, accept the train when it comes. So you walk all the way up here, up this like, you know, skull and bones path. You get to this empty room. Nothing ever pops. Nothing ever comes up here. It always felt like there should have been like some kind of Big Bear style mob up here. It reminds me a little bit of like the Warrens. Dude, you want to know something crazy? Like, people won't even believe this. One of my friends came into possession through legitimate means, right? It was given to him. Apparently, it's Bill Trost's original design notebook, like handwritten kind of stuff. And so recently, we've been trying to work with Darkpaw to see if they'll give us like the go-ahead officially to publish that. And if they do, he's going to upload it online for everyone to see. It's got a ton of incredible lore information. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Appreciate it as well, Strong. So like pieces of it that I've seen, because he, you know, my friend won't show me every little detail of it yet until, you know, we get permission, because I guess, you know, back in the day there was agreements not to share that sort of stuff, you know, 21 years ago. But this is like 1998, like early 1999, before Everquest officially launched. And you get to see like, because it's all pen and paper, right, just like design documents, you get to see what the intention was for each of these zones before money was a factor, you know, before time was a factor. Like, this is like what they ultimately would have done given infinite resources. Like, there's a zone layout for a dungeon that was never added to Classic, Meldrath's lair, right, which they added maybe like 10 or 15 expansions later. It's got like 9 floors. And just when you're reading it and looking at the map, and each room has like a really nice description, you can just feel that original Everquest vibe. All right, boys, 14. Yes, there was, probably not. Instead, I guess, you know, due to time or money resources, it ended up just being the little Minotaur area with Meldrath in the midst there.
Mr. Lonely, I wish that I could go back home. Letters, never a letter. I get no letters in the mail. Forgotten, yeah, forgotten. Oh, how I wonder, how is it I feel? Now I'm a soldier, wish that I could go back home.
Man, we're up to 40 plat again. It's a pretty nice supply. Yeah, so we you know, I talked to Dreamweaver, their current community manager, about it, and she said that, you know, it's with legal and the executive team, whatever that means, for review right now. I don't really see any reason why they wouldn't let us or let him publish it. It's really all my buddy. You know, he's the one who has it. He's like a collector of Everquest artifacts, so to speak. I'm just kind of the guy who's like the go-between, talking to Darkpaw for him. Right. So Origin is a really convenient ability, but at level 5 you get the ability to cast Origin, and it teleports you to the place where you enter the world the first time you create your character. You can use it about every 15 or 16 minutes. It's a slow cast time, so it's not like a get out of jail free card. But yeah, it'll port you back to basically right in front of your guild master.
Is your heart filled with pain? Shall I come back again? Tell me, dear, are you lonesome tonight?
Alright, Trumpy is still dubious, so we should be good to enter.
You're lonesome tonight. You know, someone said that the world's a stage and each must.
Let's just check this out here.
Fate had me playing in love with you as my sweetheart. Act 1 was where we met.
Okay, we're actually pretty high dubious, only 59 points to apprehensive. So we actually shouldn't have a lot to worry about in terms of actually going KOS and getting murdered in Kanos.
Then came Act 2. You seem to change.
No, it does not go to bind, yeah.
And why, I've never known.
But it's really cool because if you're a caster that can gate normally, then now you have like the ability to gate to your bind point or Origin back to your city.
You love me,
Adds a lot of flexibility to your movement.
and I have no cause to doubt you. But I'd rather go on hearing your lies
What is this terrible song?
without you.
So there's a quest where you can like rat on McNeil Jacob for dealing in Blackbarrow Stout, which is illegal in Kanos. And they actually like summon an executioner to kill him. I'm not sure if it works anymore, now that like vendors can't be engaged. Hey, a very loving robot, if I die, the character's retired. He'll probably just sit pretty on my character select screen, and we will let the chat decide on what the next character is. Right now, every time I get in a really close call situation, people tend to talk about Ranger and Bard. Those are the two leading classes for next one. You know what? 40 plat. Swarm cutting does not work on live anymore, sadly. that would make the Bard a lot harder. Dude, that'd be cool, right? Yeah, I really wish they didn't nerf swarm kiting, but the reality is it was becoming like a big zone disruption piece, and I think it was also causing like server-side lag. They've had to make a few adjustments over the years due to that. Like, I want to say a year and a half ago, they changed the mechanic of how repost works. Because it was actually creating too much like server load, especially when you're using like your whirlwind style discs. I think it impacted Warriors a lot. I want to say the change was that only confirmed hits can be reposted now. Something like that. Or maybe you can... Something about procs, maybe? I forget. I just remember all the Warriors in our guild were super upset about it. Alright, we're going to switch up this music style here. So I'm really tempted to buy one of these augments. I'm just not sure which one I want. Like, do I want to heal myself? Do I want to heal over time, damage over time, direct damage? So the direct damage one just gives a quick shot of 10 damage. Damage over time one does 5 damage every 6 seconds, so it only needs 1 tick after contact to match the DD one. I assume that it does the first 5 immediately, the next 5 on first tick. I think the dot one is the way to go, especially since I don't deal with CC or anything. Oh, okay, there you go, Bull. Yeah, this is Air that I'm on. I was the server first, max level on Air. If you watch that quick 50-second YouTube video, you can see the conclusion of my level 50 journey there. I think we're gonna go with the dot one to see how this does. All right, we're poor again. Yeah, they added them on TLP servers, just these low-level, really terrible augments, as a way to assist melee characters with a perceived power imbalance. In reality, people level up so fast that you like never use them until level 50. But I think the biggest one was like Warriors' inability to hold aggro. They would buy like the Wolfenite ones. And I feel like most of the TLP player base has actually just kind of forgotten that they exist and no one uses them. People tend to just grind to 50 as fast as possible, and then at 50 you've got pretty good aggro tools, and like maybe your like very dedicated DPS classes will buy a bunch just to be able to eke out a few extra points of damage. I would prefer that they weren't in because it would be more legit, but they're here, so I'm using them. Oh yeah, the level 10 one is 30 plat, that's crazy. But if we farm bandits, we'll make a ton of money fast. So one of the last like enduring mysteries of EQ is the symbol that you find around on the floors and stuff that came to be known as the Chelsith stone in EQ2. Like I know in EQ2 they added like extra layers and everything to it, but I've always sort of suspected that the stuff they added later was strictly appended. You know, it wasn't part of the original design vision or intention of it. So I kind of want to know what that symbol means in the context of its original creation in EQ1 and where you find it in the game and stuff. Hey, later, dude. Thanks for stopping by. All right, so check it out. I'm about to link the symbol I'm talking about so everyone in chat can see. So we see those symbols like all over the place. They're in, they added them to the Froglock City when they added the Froglock City. They're in the Kanos sewers in the Necromancer's Guild. They're in Lake Wrath, where the Aviacs stand on those big pillars. I'm sure there's a bunch of other locations. Some of the symbols we know, we have a really strong idea of like, you know, what they stand for. Like the centerpiece is right outside Neriak, right? So everyone thinks that that's the Dark Elf symbol or the Inneruk symbol. The three waves at the bottom, right below Inni, like diagonally, we think that's the we think that's like Praxis or the Triumvirate of water. The 9 dots left of him we think is Tunair because all the druid rings and stuff have like the 9 dots. The thing above him is the symbol of Brel Ceralis. That's the candle crown. Bottom left is Ralph Sek. You see it all over the orc camps. Bottom right is some kind of erudite symbol. It's all over Eridan, and then there's like a modified one all over Payneal. Oh, look at that, Grizzly Bear boys, money. And then the top two, maybe like CT and Burtox, we're not sure. I'm happy to just ask from chat. And maybe, and this is probably like my least favorite option, is that there really isn't any kind of meaning to the symbol and it's just something cool that somebody threw together and was used because it looked so awesome. Hey, thanks, Berto. Appreciate the follow. think that if that center symbol is interpreted as Vishan, it makes a lot more sense. It's like a lot easier to make a story out of that symbol. Well, it's cool that there's like deep mysteries, the deep lore. You know, I used to talk to Brad every now and then, and he's such a big figure kind of in the MMO community, or like at least as an EQ fan. I always had like questions like this, but I didn't want to bother him about it because, like, I'm just one of 10,000 people on his friends list. But I definitely regret not asking him now, now that we've seen how things went. It might be that there is no one left after Brad and Hutch and everybody that could possibly answer some of these questions 100%. Chat, we're going to pretend I didn't open my map there, okay? Don't tell anybody. Oh no, I'm allowed maps. It's just like it's like a noob move. Who doesn't know the map of West Karana, right? It's such a big rectangle. Yeah, it would be really awesome. I think Trost or Valen, what's Chris Garcia, right? Tony Garcia. I think he might know if they're ever willing to share. So look at that symbol, right? And if the center one was Vishan, like if it was like a dragon face with 2 wings in the background, then you've got the other 3 around it. Remember, the Vishan clawed the world, deposited the dragon brood, bounced, and then the other gods, led by Brel Ceralis, showed up and formed a pact to keep the dragons in check. So the original pact was Brel, Tunair, and Praxis, the 3 that we see inside the circle. They met in Dagnor's Cauldron, the place where all the elements met. They had the forests, the mountains, the water. And Rallis Zek was also invited, and he came, but he didn't agree. So he's like on the outside of the circle here on the left. And that's when they made the Kedge, the elves, and Brel made like 10 different races because he cheated on the deal. But if you look at that as Vishan in the center, then it's kind of easy to come up with what this circle means. But all signs in game point to that being Inaruk instead. And I just don't see why Inaruk would be like such a big deal to be in the center versus any of the other evil gods. I do think that the Vishan is like me wanting it more than what it actually is, because the symbol is literally plastered in front of Niryak, right on top. So it just makes so much sense for it to be Inaruk or the Dark Elf race symbol. So we want these guys to drop thick grizzly bear skins. Oh, like this one. No, that's a medium quality bear skin. Rip. But we want them to drop those, and we can make more bags. I really only want 1 more bag, because I can't carry too much loot, regardless of the weight reduction. Oh, okay, so I've heard a bunch of different origin stories for like the undead ghoul froglocks in Lower Guck over the years. Sometimes the sources like conflict a little bit. But what I will say is that X symbol you see in the top left is the only place I've seen it in game other than this symbol is on the fire pots in the Ghoul Lord's room in Lower Guck. There's tons of good candidates for, which god had a hand in turning the Froglocks undead. Like it could be CT just hooking up the trolls because his boys are over there fighting the Froglocks. Could be Inaruk, because Inaruk has a history of transforming things, and I think one of the official lore sources does say that a troll ran in there and used some magic given to her by Inaruk to create the undead curse. It could be Bertoxilus because Bertox is closely associated with undead and disease, and the X appears in Bertoxilus's temple underneath Kanos all over the place. So if we're going just based on symbols and stuff, it looks like the X would be Bertox to me. Oh, we got a high quality bear skin. We can make a handmade backpack from that. I'll just do it for the potential tailoring skill ups. Might just like run all the way to Crushbone right now. So I spent a lot of last night thinking about my gearing strategy long term for this character. I was talking to Echo Location 8, the guy who's doing the warrior on P99. And you know, we were talking about like different options and stuff. So I'm thinking that once I'm like level 25, I can camp the werewolf here. I think I can kill these guys. And I can get the werewolf skin and then use that for the quest to get the werewolf skin cloak. That's probably like my best cloak option for a long time. Oh yes, solo all day. Come back. Oh, that's really bad, dudes. Somehow we aggroed the whole camp. This could be it. I wonder what my heart rate is right now. I think we managed to strafe run out of range of most of their nukes. Especially because like every time they cast, they have to stop running, you know, just for a couple seconds. We might have made it, boys. I'm telling you, you forget how dangerous Norath is for 1 minute. Thanks. Yeah, this is you know, Olympic level strafe running. Dude, did you see how far they aggroed from? It was crazy. I had to be like right on top of her to aggro her, but their social range was like half mile. I'm really lucky they didn't choose to try to root me. Root would have been GG. Do we risk a backwards look? A bandit says, "Paladins like you always bring out the worst in me." Dude, right? The spires always look so awesome. Yo, Riker, what's up? Hey, dude, I actually I linked someone one of your posts from P99 earlier today. They were asking for quests that Troll Shadow Knights could do. Yeah, there probably is. So the document has a whole thing about how when they were originally planning Kunark was going to have all these mana storms all over the planet, all over the continent that had different effects. So you could be in a zone and a mana storm would just roll through as a zone effect, and it might double spell damage for 30 minutes, and then it would be the opposite the following 30 minutes. And there was a ton of different effects just like that, though, that were cool. Some beetle screeching sound is a little bit too loud for my earphones. Hey, Bull, it hopefully will be soon. There's a current request in with Darkpaw Games to see if we can get it permission to release it. I don't think so. This is Bill Trost's old design notebook. So it doesn't have any like new expansion stuff, but it does have like the fully fleshed out vision for the original stuff, including some zones that were never included and stuff like that. This wolf's just like, yeah, I don't mind this giant beetle fighting for his life on top of me. This is okay. Yeah, there's like a clear zone line in the Thurbian lair, right? That just is unused. I mean, we know Plane of Shadow was originally going to be in Luckland. Actually, a very loving robot might know this if he's still around in chat. Like what zones didn't make the cut for Luckland, Plane of Shadow, kind of stuff like that. I see. I mean, it's believable. But to be honest, after Classic, I'd say my next favorite expansion is Lucklin. I feel like the lore is so well realized in Lucklin in a way that we don't see it in many of the other expansions. And not only is it fully realized, but it's also, oh, I don't want to fuck with that. It's also like super cool. Like everything that was done in Lucklin was done very intentionally. You know what I mean? Like you got the Shissar, right? How did the Shissar end up on the moon? They transported their whole city, their capital city, from the over there up to Lucklin because the green mist was killing them. So they went to the moon and they surrounded their base in an area of, like in a vacuum, you know, no air, so they could never be threatened by the green mist again. Like you can see the logic that the NPCs had. I think everybody agrees that Shraja is the #1 zone in Lucklin. It's the best, most fully realized, and everything about it is just super cool and awesome. Ah, okay. Alright, we're gonna try this Griffin. Historically, you know, these are pretty powerful mobs relative to their level, but we'll see. Let's do a Courage first. Dude, I feel like I'm out here in like a zoo or something. There's wolves, lions, griffins. Oh, dude, you want to know something crazy? So there used to be like these really, really powerful Bane weapons that are Bane Vampire. They're supposed to be like used only against the vampires in Tenebrous Mountains and stuff like that. You can get them at a really low level, and they're super strong. Well, sometime in the last 18 years, those Bane weapons got shifted over to Bane Undead. Yeah. You know, I know some people don't like Mons Latalis because it's kind of empty, but I think Lucklin really needed at least one zone like Mons Latalis because it's supposed to be the moon. There should be something up there where it's kind of just like creepy and silent and empty, and you don't know if there's like really much life out here. I think Mons Latalis best captures the feel of what you imagine being on a moon would be. You know what I mean? I think it's okay to have one zone that's like that. And Griegs is super awesome too. The whole like Grieg storyline. I think we could like dial the mob density in Griegs back a little bit maybe, but that's just me. They always describe Grieg in the lore as being a Geomancer, and I always thought it would have been really cool if, instead of Beast Lord, Lucklin dropped with that as a new class, a Geomancer. Man, this one still feels really dangerous to me, to be honest. Like, everything I con, half the things are higher level than me. Yeah, Seru is also like a masterpiece. Like the whole lore and everything for Seru and the Combine Empire was just so cool, start to finish. I really like the Akivan lore too, but so much of what we associate with the Akivan lore and everything is just tainted by the fact that Vexthal is not fun to play in. Yeah, they nerfed it. We did that on Agnar. It was really fun pulling Atenha Ra and everybody to the zone line. No, Bull, oh, these are social? That's bad news. Hey, I can't take buffs now. So, a lot of people don't know that the Akivan is like a realized language to some extent. So, like, I just put in chat, Casthox Z equals Black Blood of. Like, one of the big goos in VT is called Casthox Z Atenha Ra, so it's like the Black Blood of Atenha Ra. Most of the names... most of the mobs in there have like naming conventions similar to that. Like Voxy, Atenha Ra or whatever is like the Dark Shadow of Atenha Ra. That's like mini Aten that you fight. So you could tell a lot of effort went into the zone. Roundtable would be awesome. Okay, so Exo, the story for the Combine Empire was that it was ruled by Safkata, who was the leader on Norath. Everything was great. They were uniting all the races, and it was like the premier society of its age. As they included more and more races, eventually Safkata invited the Dark Elves to join the Combine Empire. The Paladin, who would go on to become Lord Inquisitor Saru, was super opposed to this, and he basically became evil in his desire to stop this from happening. Might be able to just heal up and take this thing down. So they created. There ended up being a civil war over the introduction of Dark Elves into the Combine Empire, with Lord Inquisitor Saru poisoning Safkata. So they couldn't cure the leader of the Combine Empire, but they could put him in a stasis so he wouldn't die, and they fled to the moon of Luckland to escape the civil war. Saru was so bent on on finishing the job that he followed them there. The Nexus area became a neutral zone, and they both established their different cities. So Lord Inquisitor Saru has created a time chamber, basically, where he's in stasis as well, so that he can stay alive long enough to see it through and destroy the remnants of the Combine Empire, or in his view, reunite the Combine Empire underneath him. Whereas we have Elsiakata, the daughter of Safkata, now all grown up, or maybe like granddaughter or something at this point, actually, and she leads the old Combine Empire style people while they still search for a cure for Saf. But once they went to the moon, because of the veil that is kept on the moon by the goddess Luckland, they were never able to return to Norath. The players were only able to go to Luckland once, what's his name? Al-Kabor gained he created an item called Propylon of the Nexus. He created the Propylon of the Nexus, and using the ultra-large wizard spires that were left in Kunark and the Dreadlands, he was able to go to Luckland. And then the portals were open forever. Yeah, the Karen Luckland lore is basically just that during the Erudite Civil War, there was a group of Karens that kind of lived in like the area that we now associate. Oh, geez, we gotta run. So what Riker said, the Karens got blasted to the moon in a wave of magical energy that created the hole and everything else. Maybe we don't have to run. Three minutes on lay on hands. Grizz, I would not put any points into Dex. I would make sure that you have at least 75 agility, and then I would put the rest into stamina, strength. I think you might have to type /claim, robot. Yeah, we knew we had this. Never had any doubts. I suppose there's a chance we could lose this if we have a few bad rounds. The trend is that I'm gaining on this mob, though. Oh, it's okay. You know, honestly, half the fun is not knowing. Well, I hope you enjoy knowing that there are some nerds out here who really enjoy that stuff and read it and really took the time to like it. Whew, man, we're having a tough day this morning. It's hard being level 14 out here. Yeah, I need that XR regen BP. Make it a lot easier. I think it does show up later when the investigator appears and all that. It's a lot of fun, but it's more fun when you go through it with the like they don't do like the Piranha's Plague events, you know what I mean, on TLP servers. That would be really awesome. Yep. Yeah, back in the day especially, regen was like the most critical stat in the lower levels. Like a funky tunic, you could basically solo your way into the 40s. When I was playing on Nameless, the go-to twink setup was funky tunic, Senti longsword, Senti short sword, and Lucklin. And before that, it was like Worm Slayer, and I forget what the offhand was. Get that crusty armor from the Othmirs. Here, you guys ready for the best soundtrack in EQ? It's my favorite EQ music. Airdoon is not free to play. No fur. I think next level I get a new HP buff. I'm really looking forward to that because this courage is not doing it anymore. So you can, for a lot of the ores and stuff, like leveling up, I broke down all my rusty weapons and crafted a lot of stuff up that way. But you can buy the ore from a merchant in Airden. It's not too terribly expensive. Also, you can kill Muddite miners right now for sure. There's Muddite miners at like level 10. Alright, so we're going to give this a minute or two to regen some mana, and then we're going to try to kill this yellow borer beetle, 2 levels higher than me. Should look this way so I don't get sniped by like a hill giant or something. Seems doable. Yeah, zoning is way better before prime time. If the other beetles wouldn't assist this guy, I probably would Fear Kite with Flash of Light. Dude, the zoning is insane. I went to Kano's Catacombs last night and I was like, geez, I'm gonna drown on the other side of the zone. I actually don't think that this is the most the most populated EQ server. I think that they downgraded their server farm, and as a result, their capacity is reduced. Dude, right now we're just straight up winning. Don't even have to cast a heal. I'm sure I will heal, but it looks like we might just straight beat him. Hey Riker, check this out. Shining Star of Light. Shield of Knife. Purity Belt. Spiked collar, and rusty spike shoulder pads. Okay, I talked shit. I said I could do this without healing, so he kicked up the DPS. Hey, thanks for the follow, Mostly Caffeinated. Yeah, dude, the quest was a lot of fun. Running all the way to Kithcore Forest at level 5. On a permadeath character. Originally, I just wanted it so I could farm wisps, which would let me, you know, get the money for banded. For anyone watching who doesn't know, like the rules on this run, I just linked them in chat there. Key factors: I can't trade with or from players. I'm always solo, and this is permadeath. So if I lose, we start over. Yeah, I plan to do the Deepwater Harpoon at level 20. I figure there's no point in doing it before 20 because I can't, you know, the damage cap will stop me from making the most use out of it. Hey, Record, thanks. But yeah, level 20, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try to hail lock her and see if I can just man mode the skeletons and gargoyles while I do so. What do you think? Does it sound possible? See how much killing mob 2 levels higher than us gives. I'm at 15.2 now. Just under 3% EXP. Took me like 6 minutes to solo that. Feels bad, man. Record, do you think I'll be able to do the Deepwater Harpoon by hail locking the quest NPC at level 20? And I'll just have to fight off any gargoyles and greater skeletons? Shinj, the Mammoth problem is the fact that Mammoth is KOS to me and will not let me turn my Regurgitonic into him without some tricks. So it's pretty scary because if things go poorly, then the NPCs in Surefall will assist him and I will certainly die. So I've managed to purchase 2 Cloudy Pods that I could try to use to turn it in, but I tested it on a different server and like they attempted to nerf Invis turn-ins. So I would have to go in Viz, walk up to him, wait for the server tick timer, try to turn it in, get it on his turn-in bar, all during the tick timer, then recast my instant in Viz, and then hit submit. And if I don't do that perfectly correct, then I'm dead. Oh, has it? So now you have to kite her? You get DA at level 48. Yeah, it's possible. Hey, thanks for the follow, Animus. Yeah, if the hail lock is fixed, then I don't even know that I could do Dark Sea Harpoon, or Deep Water Harpoon. I really think that with our low DPS, the ideal grinding method for us is to farm like mobs that are a little bit like 3 or 4 levels below us blue in dungeons with high Zems. Well, the problem is if you don't hail lock her, then she charges into the specters on the island. And there's no way we're killing any specters. I could kite her around the island for 6 minutes, but it seems like a recipe for death. Oh, we got a thick skin, boys. Finally. Fortunately, I don't have any of my Spiderling Silk on me. Yeah, I can only loot items from mobs that I have killed. I plan to try to solo myself a Ghoulbane at some point though, like 35 maybe. Hey, good morning, Spindle. Yep, no vulturism. The most vulture thing I've done is I once trained a mob to the zone. I had to bail. When I came back in, he was fighting someone else, and they had to bail, and then I re-engaged and killed him from like 50%. Or maybe lower. Spin stun. Dang, this guy just straight up regenerated back to 100% mid-fight. Thanks for the follow, Hijinks. Yeah, Wrecker, I've been thinking about the J-Boots question. Ooh, man, I hope that was like a PC enchanter pet that just ran by me. I'm not sure. Maybe like 40 with an IV hoop and a walking sleep hammer. Yeah, it's against the spirit of the rules for me to take ground spawns that are not naturally occurring. It's like the same problem I have with JC. Even if I skill up my jewel crafting and get really high JC, I can't enchant platinum bars because I'm not an enchanter, so I can't get stat jewels. I'm not sure, but the thing is, he's got like a ton of health, you know what I mean, relative to his level. No, only vendor items which are naturally available in that vendor's stock. Yeah, he's level 30. I mean, you do reach a point where the level differential is so big the mobs just can't reliably hit you. So that's what I'd be relying on mostly. Because when he does hit, he's going to chunk me. Dude, it's going to be so annoying when this paths into the building. Grimfeather's corpse. We do not want to be around here when he respawns. Gotta keep an eye on that other one behind me. Right, yeah, I'm playing like single player EQ. Every now and then I have to politely ask someone not to heal me. Recharging actually doesn't work on TLP servers anymore. Well, it actually hasn't worked in EQ for like a long time. It was just a P99 thing. No, I cannot buy gear that players have sold to vendors. So even if I'm looking for spider silk and I see 1,000 spider silk and I can afford it, gotta go farm it. No, I think I'll leave this guy. I'll let him sit pretty at level 50 on my character select screen. If I make 50 on stream, maybe I'll let you guys decide. If anyone hasn't already seen it, that's the server first level 50 on Aradune being deleted. No big deal. You know, I was actually looking at the Raider skull cap recently. Like, I was trying to think of where I would go for the sharks. I think there's like sharks I can kill in the catacombs that are 15 or so, but they're right next to some high-level Circle of Unseen Hand mobs that might be KOS to me. Hey, this interface is called Chrome UI. It's a Draka Chrome UI. And it's from the Everquest interface or something like that website. If you just Google Everquest UI, it's the one that comes up. Right, just leave him as a permanent watcher over the memorial. Very Loving Robot, have you seen the Brad McQuaid memorial that's in Eastern Karana? There's actually a huge exploit in Arid's Crossing. There's a place that you can pull the sharks to, like a specific /loke, and they will pop out of the water and they do not fight you back. So like at level 15, you could just slowly whittle down a 49 shark or whatever, 43 shark. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It would also get me banned. Yeah, I wonder why they chose East Karana instead of like West Karana. It's really out there. We went there on the stream 2 days ago. Checked it out. It was nice. Well, putting it in was definitely the right call. It would have been like sad and kind of bizarre if they never did anything. Hey Trollmaster, if you type exclamation point SSF, it'll explain my rule set here. There you go. This isn't my original EQ account. My title and my time on it is 7 years and 340 days. So I can't imagine where I would be if it wasn't for Brad and those guys. Thanks. So to be clear, though, I did not create the rule set or anything. I think it's from other games. And Echolocation 8, a P99 streamer, is the first person I saw do an EQ. I just added the Permadeath to it to add some spice. And I kind of regret it now. Yeah, it's going to take forever. Dude, last night I had a dream that I died on this character. And I was like, God, I'm too immersed. My opinion on the metagaming, kind of twofold. For one thing, I really enjoy the idea of like speed running and that sort of thing. So I like the metagame aspect. I like seeing people push the meta and doing things that we thought which we thought were impossible before or faster than could ever be done before. So I like that. I like to see improvements. Like that's EQ Baby, the top guild on this server, cleared Classic in 6 days and some number of hours, which is the fastest it was ever done. The guild they beat was actually my guild from 2017 that set it at 9 days. And I was really happy to see the meta evolve and see those guys do good. Oh, Hill Giant, we want to avoid that. That said, if you only metagame and that's the only way you play EQ, you are missing out on what I think is the true spirit of EverQuest. And so I like to do things like this and just kind of group and do dumb stuff, because I think that's what EQ is really about. So I made level 50 in 39 hours, so you can bet we metagamed it super hard. But I think there's a lot of fun in that race, you know what I mean? That uncertainty, that pushing, doing 39 hours of grinding with no sleep was a ton of fun. We're just gonna run to Crushbone right now, guys. You know, they change a little bit every server. Every server, they fix or ban some of our tactics and techniques, and we find new ones. I was a mage, Chase. No, I was in a full static group to level 50. You can see the character there before I deleted it. As soon as I hit level 50, the rest of my group hit 50, I gave away my gear and I deleted the character. This bridge is awesome. A Very Loving Robot, I didn't stream the push. Unfortunately, you can't really stream it in EQ because like at this level, like what we're doing now, the EQ community is really great and amazing. But at the high level, when you're racing and trying to do things hardcore, there's a really powerful, but there's a really small but very dedicated toxic element to it, which will hunt you down and attempt to grief you very hard. Yeah, exactly that. All right, this is one of the few zones along this route to Crushbone that still presents a really great risk to us. We'll swing by and check out the Air Dune Memorial on the way over here. But yeah, this is a really dangerous zone for me still. When we did the Cello server, the 20th anniversary server, there was a group of people basically like piloting level 1s and using burner accounts to warp train on people. So they would like use software that allowed them to type /zone, go to any zone, then target you from across the zone, /warp to your location instantly. Then they would target an NPC who was furthest from your group in the dungeon and taunt it, because with the hacking software, taunt has no range limitations. Then that mob would run all the way to your group, bringing every mob along the way, and it would wipe you. And that was something that we had to deal with pretty much constantly that first week. That griffin over there is really messing up my route. Yeah, it was super terrible. Yeah, that could still be done. Absolutely, it can still be done. Whenever I race to server first 50 or try to race for server first 50 or 60 or whatever, I always use a fake name. Like my static group goes completely undercover. We use random names every time it's different. There's no connection. So the only way you would know it was us is if you saw the top leveling group and just assumed that it was us. And then at level 49.9, I changed my name to Zaide. And that's why like my name is frequently stolen on every server as well. So like that's why in that video of my 50 mage, I'm Zaide X. It's just because Zaide was already taken. In fact, when I hit level 50, whoever took the name Zaide sent me a tell and said congrats and then logged off. You know, that's just the internet, I think. It's sad. I love the EQ community, but there are a few very dedicated griefers in it, you know what I mean? I think it really just comes down to ego. It's just an ego thing. But I'll say this. Over the years, since I started playing EQ, I've had a lot of people that griefed me, and I've always, you know, I've not always been a saint either, right? I've done terrible things, I'm sure, in the context of a video game, at least. But more often than not, over time, you end up becoming friends with those people. Like my boy Caves in the chat. We got off to a rocky start our first couple years, and now we're buddies. So in the end, you just got to remember it's a video game and it's not a big deal. Hey, thanks for the follows, guys. All right, so here we are. Eridune Mithara, Outrider of Karana. And then if you click it, inscription under Outrider of Karana. Thank you for making our lives here possible. It's a very nice, a really nice thing that they did to put that in there. I got a lot of follows there in a couple minutes. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Yeah, we got stomped on Vulak. No shame in admitting that. That sucked. Those were the bad days. But I was a teenager back then. I had no idea what I was doing. And, you know, on Vulak, Faceless was definitely just not the better guild. You know what I mean? But there's no shame in being second place. There's no shame in losing. It's a video game, right? It might have been the real Kilo. Right, yeah, at the end of the day, it's just pixels. It's hard being a guild leader. Everyone is going to think that you're like some evil dictator or something. What it comes down to is I learned that as a guild leader, I cannot try to police group level disputes between my members and other members, especially when your guild is big and the server is super popular. People would send me like dozens of tells every day like, oh man, this guy's trying to take my camp in Lower Guck, and I'm like, hey man, you guys just got to work that out yourselves. Like, let's just say that I kick him out of the guild, right? Is he gonna like leave your camp? It's not gonna improve your situation. You know what I mean? So in the end, I've got to like wash my hands of group level content. I'll police raid level content and run that how I like in my guild. And you know, you want people to get along and stuff, but it would be an endless babysitting job. Yeah, I'm not sure which one it would have been. Maybe Rezicus? Rezicus was Get Some from P99, so he might have known you. Yeah, Fernan, I might not delete him. I might just leave him there, kind of like as a testament to how far I made it, but I will retire the character. At the very least, he'll never be played again. Man, last time I ran through here, there was a group killing all this pathing shit, so I didn't have to... It wasn't so risky. Yeah, I'll do it again. If I die, we're re-rolling. I'm going to let chat decide on the class. Probably Ranger or Bard. Hopefully not Bard. People don't realize you can't swarm kite anymore, so Bard will be like 10 times more painful to watch than this. Yeah, like as a guild leader, you represent the interests of your guild members, right? They join your guild because they believe that you and your whatever your guild philosophy and vision is going to deliver them the experience they desire, a fun time. And I believe in servant leadership, so I believe that when people join my guild, I am under some level of obligation to do my best to deliver them that experience that they are looking for, so long as it's within the vision of what I believe in. And so, you know, to that extent, I will err on the side of siding with my guild members in any dispute, regardless. This is solo all the way up to the top, ours. Only picking bad classes because it would be too easy otherwise. Really not feeling this Chasm Minotaur here, boys. We made it. Yeah, this is the place with all the mudmen, the evil eyes. Evil eye is like the crit. You know, getting an evil eye pather is like rolling a nat 1 here, so we're really hoping we don't get that. I'll let you guys pick the race and the class, I don't care. You know, you guys will pick like the dumbest option possible. But I'll deal with it. We can't do Rogue. Rogue would not be possible, I don't think. I'd have to like just exploit EXP quests. And they're so heavily nerfed. It would take like 10 years of dedicated farming of bone chips to level up to 50. Right? Why do I not trust chat? You know, chat's been pretty good to me so far. They told me to sell my pants to try creating banded boots, and it worked out. Yeah, that's really the biggest factor. Combat bandaging, like it works on P99, does not work on TLP servers. It's been patched. So basically, you have to be a class that can cast spells, or else you have to be willing to farm greens. Man, look at those zoning times. Okay, we could have Borks up. Oh, boys, almost had a heart attack. All right, he's probably like respawning very soon. 5 minutes, 4 minutes, we'll have a respawn. That's crazy, Riker. When it comes to reporting, members for doing things like that, cheating I would take really seriously, but I would need to have some kind of evidence, you know what I mean? If I saw a video of one of my members like warping, yeah, we're probably gonna remove them for sure. But another thing is like, I am not the server police, so I would always just encourage people like, hey, if you see someone doing like straight up breaking the rules kind of stuff, report it to a GM, right? And if there's some validity to your claim, hopefully the GMs will resolve that problem. I am not a GM, right? I'm just a guy trying to play a video game. Yeah, so Wrecker, did they already revamp the Shaman dots back when you played? Because right now the Shaman dots, okay, yeah, so you know what he's talking about. Like, they're super mana intensive, but they do a ton of damage. Come on, Pixie Drone, you don't want any of this. Yeah, I wish I could do cancel casting, or not cancel casting, but I wish I could click a clicky and then refresh my spell gems, like on P99. That is super amazing. Increases your DPS as like a solo caster tremendously. Get your J boots or your spyglass if you're inside. But on the plus side, on P99 you can't duck to just cancel your spell. On this server you can. So there's there's some benefits. This is an example of one of those zones that I think the revamp doesn't look terrible, because like fundamentally it's the same zone, you know what I mean? They just smoothed it out. They gave it almost like that Luckland style texture. The nostalgia makes me prefer the classic ones, but this really isn't that bad. Also, for some reason, every tunnel in any revamped zone is like sized for giants. Like the halflings wanted 30-foot high ceilings. Yeah, the Lava Storm revamp, the look doesn't bother me so much as like the fact that there's an invisible wall every 5 feet. Why are there so many invisible walls, man? You can't run around Lava Storm. Ooh, high quality, we'll keep that. Hey Zeothel, SSF means that well, I'll just put it in chat. There you go. Thanks, Riker. OMG the Pope, you can go to the Everquest website, and if you sign up and create an account there, you can go to your account settings and get everything done. Hey, what's Mafaka? What's up, Mafaka? Mafaka, you are the Rampage Mafaka, right? Not the Pals Mafaka? Hey dude, nice to see you. I don't think you and I ever got the chance to like chat personally over the years, but I have heard about you, so good to see you in chat. Oh yeah, dude, it's fun. My first time really doing Paladin. I'll be back 1 second, guys. All right, we're back. This is really slow. To give you an idea of how slow it is, between trade skills and questing and grinding, I got level 14 with just about 2 days played. So 46 hours played right now. No, that's actually the Mammoth in the Surefall Glade Zone. So, Record, I've got all the stuff for the Bone Thunder Staff quest, but Mammoth is KOS to me, so I can't turn in my Regurgitonic to him, and I consider that a Mammoth problem. 5 p.m., we're getting kind of close to nighttime. I wonder, no, I'm not going to risk my character. What time does night start, like 8 p.m.? Trying to think of back when I camped Pigeon. Can I make it through Kith before I get killed? Jasper, what class are you? Dude, it's stupid. I was just threatening from default. Jasper, are you, do you worship Inaruk or Khazak-Thul? Alright, it's 5 p.m. We should be good. The sky looks awfully dark in here. I don't like it. Okay, so if you're Innie, then you should do the snare necklace. There's a link for the snare necklace. And then after that, I would maybe look at some Soul Row armor quests. But probably Riker is a better resource on that than me because he's like a shaman guy. I've never done shaman personally. RIP. Yeah, so auto mod is going to prevent anyone else from doing links. Sorry about that, Pope. But yeah, for some reason, Mammoth is default threatening to me, which is a big problem. It's weird because, like, as a paladin, I wouldn't want to necessarily kill him if I can avoid it. And the item I'm questing for is a paladin cleric only item, so why would he be KOS by default? But sure enough, he is. The only way I can increase my faction is by doing this one quest 55 times, Garen's Note. But Crow and Crow's Pub will not sell to me because I've ruined my Circle of Unseen Hands faction doing Null Teeth. So I actually can't do Garen's Note without like first fixing the other faction. So we're just not going to do all that. What we're going to do is probably try to cheese it with Cloudy Pots, or I'm just going to get to level 20 and kill the dude. Yep, this is an official EQ server. This is the newest EverQuest time lock progression server, Aerdune, done in honor of the eponymous Aerdune, Brad McQuaid, Aerdune Mithara. I wish they would bring back all those banned items, not banned items, but removed items like Mana Stone. The Katana of the Steel Sleet from CT would be amazing. Lustrous Russet would be cool. The problem is with pick zones and the way TLP players play, there'd be like 9,000 copies of every one of those items in 2 days, you know what I mean? Katana of the Steel Sleet, it's an AoE proc katana that Kazakh Thule used to drop. So Ruby BP will be in. For some reason, it doesn't start dropping until 30 days after the server opens. Fungi Staff and Pre-Nerf COS are around in Kunark, but Moss Covered Twig and Gem Encrusted Rings are not in. Locket of Escape is not in. Yeah, you got to do the quest. They never return the J-Boots to Najena, unfortunately. Alright, we're just gonna do hacks here. Whoops. Hacker man. Pope, do you prefer melee or caster? Monk is really good. There's a million monks on the server, but as a monk, you'll get groups easily. You'll do really good DPS. You'll never have to worry about gear, really. If you want a nice smooth ride as a caster, I would go Necromancer or Mage. They're both fun, easy classes that are desired in groups. No, Moss Covered Twig was a main hand weapon that was 3 damage, 10 delay. And it had several iterations of nerfs. The first of which was making it secondary only, basically because of the damage bonus in main hand. It was oh my god, boys! If we loot that Snake Fang, we ruin the run. Apprehensive, okay. It was just too powerful, right? Because like 310 is sort of balanced, but then when you add damage bonus, you're just hitting too fast, too hard. So they made it offhand, and I think they eventually just removed it. I've never seen one on any TLP server. If you guys need to, just close your eyes. I'll let you know when we're done with Freeport. You auto learn like the first point in any skill. You don't have to go back to your GM to learn them anymore. Just a little bit short of being able to buy a Cloudy Potion, just in case we ran into any issues. I've got 1 or 2 in the bank, though. Yeah, I think I have 2 in the bank for Mammoth. I don't want to use them yet. Yeah, dude, Gem Encrusted Rings dropped on Vulak in the old TLP servers, but they dropped in Vishan's Peak, right? Off like some of the mini named. Ooh, order of DPS for melee. It's like monk, 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 monk. Yeah. They had like that and the Idol of Carnage and stuff. So monk obviously number 1. Number 2, it depends. Like, are we looking at leveling up or are we looking at like best in slot? It probably goes monk, rogue, ranger, shadow knight. Shadow Knights become really great DPS in Kunark, but in Classic they're not really there yet. They're still a great class, but they're just not, like, in Kunark and beyond, Shadow Knights will occasionally be able to just contest monks on the parse, which is incredible. But right now they're just, you know, just a solid great class. They're not like top tier. But yeah, there really is a big gap between monk and like the number 2 melee class. So the thing is, like, your SKs have to, like, they have to be weird, right? Because if you want to be a DPS SK, you're not a tank at all. Like, you prioritize focus effects when those are in, and you prioritize intelligence because it's all about your mana pool. I would say that you cannot do decent DPS, at least on a raid level, but at a group level, warrior DPS is good enough to say that you contributed solidly as a DPS. Depending on your weapons, of course. It's certainly a lot better than this Paladin. You gotta get one of those, what we call camp monks. Look at all these evils who tried to come through here. Our good dwarven boys don't let them. I'm not sure if they nerfed the warrior epic. Last time I played in Classic, people were still doing double reds. Yeah, so Braxis, if someone buffs me, what I've been doing is I right-click it and I add it to my blocked buffs list so I can never get that buff again. We got most of the big common ones like Spirit of Wolf, Clarity, all the damage shield stuff is mostly off. The only ones I have to manually click off are like Cleric buffs because, you know, those are going to be my buffs eventually. EQ does not have a free trial for this server. It's got a freemium mode that you can play on like normal servers, but this is a premium server. Yeah, you can see my blocked buffs list here. Swift like the Wind, Alacrity, Og, basically every enchanter buff because there's like 10 million enchanters on the server, Center, I'll have to take center off. I think I get that right. Skin like rock, Sow, Shield of Barbs, Symbol, Shadow. I might have gone too far south. I might have gone in that little J. Yeah, I did. Whoops. We missed the Undead Tower. It should be up here. Oh yeah, this is a ton of fun. Now is the time to play while the server is popping. Everyone's here. There's a huge, lively, friendly community. Honestly, at the lower levels, it's so friendly that I've had to ask people to not help me countless times already. Like, people in EQ are so friendly often that, like, it's hard to die. Like, I've had times where I was, like, at 50% and someone will just walk up and start casting a heal on me and I have to be like, no, please don't. Compromising the integrity of the run. But yeah, you could try the free servers first if you want to just kind of get a feel for it, but just keep in mind it feels a lot different playing on these servers. And if you go on like the free servers, they're like live content and it can be kind of overwhelming when you log in because there's so much going on for a fresh player. You know, you've got like 21 years of updates hitting you right in the face. All right, so boys, what do you think? We gonna walk into Crushbone and immediately die, or are we gonna wreck Crushbone for a couple levels? I mean, I got SSF in my name. I think most people just don't know what SSF means. I can't help but like get nervous. The further I run from Kanos, I'm like, man, I really need to bind, even though, you know, bind can never be a relevant factor for this character. SSF hardcore. The scariest thing about SSF hardcore and EQ is like, you never know when some random NPC just hates you. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's had those moments where you walk around a corner and you find out like, oops, this faction scowls at me for some reason. And you get killed by some mob that's rolling 300 damage swings. I mean, I could use Soulbinder's keeps, but like, what would I do? You know what I mean? The only way I would ever be able to get to a Soulbinder is to die, and then the run's over. Like, I don't get gate. I guess I could buy a gate potion. I don't know if they sell gate potions from any of the vendors. I could buy a vial of swirling smoke for like 1k. But each vendor that sells vials of swirling smoke only sells 2 vials until the server resets every time. For those watching, my only stipulation on the hardcore run is that if I get intentionally trained or griefed into dying, then I just don't count it. Given that we're playing EQ, it's all open world and we're streaming, sooner or later it will happen, right? It's not an if, but it's a when. So I'm not going to let some random person on the internet just kind of ruin our run. If I die, it's my fault, or even if, you know, some weird things happen, that's cool. But if someone just straight up trains me or something, we're not going to count it. Dude, Wrecker, you missed a hardcore 1v1 versus a level 16 Knoll Shaman earlier. Yeah, because if I go Discord, people will go Discord and murder me and camp my corpse. They'll find my bind spot and just keep killing me. No, I've never done SSF to 50. Well, I mean, technically, every time I do a static group, I'm self-found, just not solo. You know, usually you hit level 50 like half naked. Usually Crushbone is like a madhouse, so I'm interested to see how packed it is on these servers. I haven't been to Crushbone in so long. Oh yeah, Enchanter would be super easy. We chose Pally because it's not easy. I think Paladin is the perfect balance of very difficult and fun to watch. Like Warrior would be more difficult, Rogue would be more difficult, but they wouldn't be as fun to watch because it's kind of like you melee them to death or you die. Paladin, you've got some nuance and stuff. Also, Paladin is far less represented in the class population on a server, so it's rare to see Paladins. And finally, Shadow Knight has Feign Death, so like kind of trivializes the hardcore aspect a little bit. Yeah, I regret not going Ranger, both because it's the Air Dune server and because I'm tired of running at base speed. And my DPS would be better, so when this guy dies, probably Ranger. Yeah, Ranger would definitely be easier. Just having Spirit of Wolf, being able to outrun enemies reliably, would be a huge game changer. And they're a higher DPS class. Hey Chinchilla, I started blacksmithing, I started attempting Bandit at 50, I want to say. Like I had been making the lanterns for a while, and then I just started taking pot shots at Bandit. And even now, I fail the majority of the time, but every now and then it succeeds. And I've only got to make every slot once, so it's not too bad. We've got 21 people in zone. And there are 3 zones available. I'll check out the populated zone first. It's probably a little less dangerous. Hey, there's that Relics X symbol we were talking about. We assume it's RZ. I suppose it could just be an orc symbol. Man, all these bodies, very foreboding. You know, some zones graze, they just don't care, and they'll attack you like this one. So we answered that question. They will attack. Black Burrow was nice because graze would not assist. I don't know, Ixar, I think I just enjoy a good challenge. I'm always craving something challenging on the horizon. I think it takes adversity, you know, to make a person grow. And though, you know, this is just a hobby, even when I'm, you know, engaging in my hobbies, I want to see what I could do, try to push things to their limits, I suppose. It's more fun that way. Yeah, man, rating's fun, and it's a great thing in EQ, but group level content is what EQ was designed to be, right? Like, it is supposed to be like a Dungeons and Dragons style adventure where you and a party of friends go somewhere and you have harrowing journeys and adventures as a team. And I think EQ is therefore at its very best in the group level content. I'm doing the Dark Souls run of the Dark Souls of MMOs. Great. Took 2 minutes to kill this mob that gives no EXP. Gotta love it. Alright, so we want to get a Taskmaster because they can drop 2 AC earrings, which will be a marginal upgrade for us. I sort of remember Rondo Dunfire being a big undercon. We're gonna go around the other way. Not saying I'm scared or anything, but you know. That's bad news. All right, let's see what Rondo's like. He's not doing too much. My preference would be that this Centurion doesn't add. Perfect. Yeah, we're gonna see what his faction is. I think he's on like the Butcher Block Bandits faction or whatever, which is why he's KOS. He's like, you know, those dudes who run around Butcher Block and aggro you when you're a noob. A noob like us. Hey, thanks, A Very Loving Robot. Appreciate it, man. Look forward to watching you stream tonight. Man, I really wish one of these mobs would die already. I don't want to try to get my heals off with 3 mobs swinging. It's just a pain to channel through that, and you take so much more damage, you know what I mean, during your downtime. Okay, Rondo doesn't even have a lot of health. We'll heal now, though. Yeah, my LOH is up. I used it earlier. Oh, dude, Yoke, you missed a good one. So we were fighting one of those yellow split paw shamans in Black Bro, and we had to use LOH. Barely beat him. It was real close. And then later on, we were running through West Karana, and I engaged this bandit, and like 10 more bandits from way out of range aggroed me, and 3 of them were wizards. Barely made that one. And I did not have LOH up at the time too. Yeah, man, you forget that Norath is dangerous for like 1 second and it's ready to remind you. My level 12 or whatever this is, heal, has been a real big boon though. Dude, that null skin is way too rare. They've got to consider the fact that like people go through the newbie zones so much faster and things should be correspondingly less rare probably. Like in Lower Guck, it's okay to have something super rare because you're going to be there for 10, 15 hours. But you're going to be in Black Bro for like 3 hours. I don't know how I solo without dying, I suppose. I keep myself healed, I try to keep blind on them if they're really tough. If it's a tough mob, I'll like blind it back out of melee range and that'll effectively fear it. And then I can heal myself up a little bit. We really, a lot of times we'll just push it right to the limit of the Paladin right now. I mean, there's not a whole lot of nuance for the Paladin at this low level, but we're bringing it to the max sometimes. I finished that Null Shaman fight completely out of mana, very low health. First question, Laser, do you want to be a melee class? Do you want to be a tank? Do you want to be a DPS caster? Or do you want to be like a healer? Kind of wish this guy would run. Yeah, at a certain point, I'm probably going to have to switch to Undead to do things like in any reasonable time frame. I think we do get Spook the Dead. So if you want to be a DPS caster, my recommendation is, for a new player, is a mage. It's like super easy, very powerful. If you're worried about it being too easy and not interactive enough, Necromancer is the next step up. As a Necromancer, you've got the best parts of the mage, like the pet and the power, but you can also experience a lot of the strengths of the other classes, like you get to dot and kite mobs, you can fear kite, you can snare kite, you can charm mobs like an enchanter and try to charm DPS things down. So the Necromancer is a great all-around class that will expose you to a lot of the different playstyles that are available in EQ. And then a Necromancer plus any healer is really great because Necromancers get a lot of their mana from Lich, which trades HP for mana. So you can get like a Shaman or a Druid and cast regen on yourself, and you'll be able to be net positive while liching. Yeah, dude, I would love to do a duo. So my wife plays EQ too, and she's doing a non-streamed SSF Druid right now. So maybe I could duo with her or something. She plays EQ as well, sorry. I could Riker, but then I would just be every other Paladin. At some point, we're going to switch to Undead, but for now, we're just having fun. Look at me, dude, I'm so bad. I need to be healing, my mana's full. Hey, Paul, thanks. Appreciate that follow. Paul, is that Ice Giant Paul right there? The legend? Hey, what's up, dude? Thanks, CS Warren. Appreciate the follow. Glad you stopped in to check it out, Paul. Yeah, I'll solo Befallen when they're like gray. Dude, I'm pretty sure if I'm like 10 levels higher than the Befallen level range, I could still die in there. I haven't done Crushbone since I was like a true noob. This is where the Taskmaster spawns, right? In these caves? I believe so. I believe the slavers are a PH for the Taskmaster. Hey, Nils, there's really a lot of differences. The biggest difference I would say is going to be the general feel, right? It just feels smoother playing on live servers because the client is newer. There are pick zones, which is like if there's 50 people in Crushbone, normally on P99, that's it. There's just 50 people there, right? And everything's camped. But if 50 people go to Crushbone on EQ Live or TLP, it's gonna spawn a second version of Crushbone, and you can choose which one you go to. So that way, like, if 1,000 people go to Crushbone, there'll be 100 Crushbone zones, and you could just go to whichever one you want and check for camps. Nice, Braxis. That's crazy. I'm not sure if live servers have picks, actually. So I leveled to max on every TLP. I also did green. I think that the leveling grind on green was more fun and harder, for sure, but soloing is a lot different. Soloing has a huge penalty on TLP because you tend to solo blues, and blues give like 80% EXP reduction or something crazy on TLP servers. They really want you to group. Whereas on P99, soloing is like, in many cases, optimal and very fast. Also, raiding on TLP servers is much harder than on P99. Of course, you wouldn't know because you probably can't raid on P99, right? Because it's so contested. But on TLP servers, everyone can raid. Once a week, there's an Agent of Change, which is an NPC you can hail that will spawn an instanced version of a raid zone for you, or for your guild, rather. So everyone gets to kill at least one of each raid mob per week if they are capable. Personally, I think Riker is being a little harsh on TLP, but everyone's entitled, you know, to their opinion on it. No, there's no additional races. Like, all the races and classes and even race class combinations that were added later are tied to their appropriate expansions. Every TLP server gets a little bit closer to real classic. Like, now they've removed focus effects and stuff. The things that we'll never see change are like the skill cap changes, which is like one of the big reasons why this is a little bit easier. Skill caps tend to be a little bit higher. AC soft caps tend to be a little bit higher. Trade skills are a little different. Like, you can do bandit up to like 189 or something crazy for trivial on P99, but on this server, Bandit Trivial's at like 102. Oh yeah, you can use maps. Most demanded but least played class. That's tough. Cleric is always in demand. I think there's a lot of demand for tanks, and there's not a lot of tanks early on in the server, so like a Shadow Knight would be really good. Of course, there's a million Shadow Knights relative to the tank population. So, yeah, Cleric, Paladin, Warrior, those would all be good classes to play that there's not a bazillion of that are going to be high need. Dude, you should look at how many raids they've had on Cello. It's truly insane. Yeah, I'll head over that way after this dies. Hey, thanks for the follow. Yeah, Harm Touch Wars, we had those on Fippy and Volak as well. That was probably, I think the Harm Touch Wars were the worst time in EQ rating that I've ever experienced. It was like, it was just sad, you know what I mean? No one had fun. Even if you won, it felt like stupid. You're like, wow, this was dumb. Like, you show up to this poop sock. For those of you guys who don't know, I assume most people in this chat know, but poop sock is like dragons, raid mobs spawn on a variable window. So we'll say like Nagafin. Every 24 hours plus 12 hours, Nagafin will spawn. So there's a 12-hour window roundabout right now. That's not exact, but it's roughly what it is. Back in the Vulak era, it was 3.5 days, plus or minus 12 hours. So when he was in that variable window, he could pop any moment. And the way GMs decided who won raid mobs was by who touched it first. That's how they tried to anyway. So to ensure that you were there first, people would just show up and sit there for the entire window, 12, 24 hours. And then it became like, okay, if one guild sits there, both guilds have to sit there, right? Because if they're there, they're just going to kill it. They're not going to wipe. Classic raid mobs are not hard. Well, especially at that time, because they didn't have the buffs. So it got to like, who could pack in the most DPS, right? 32k dragons, not a lot of health. And Shadow Knights at the time did 1,000 damage, or like 1,500 damage for Harm Touch, which is nuts. Which meant if you had like 15 or 10 Shadow Knights, you would just instantly win any encounter DPS race. And then it became like, hey, let's automate these with a script through MacroQuest so that the moment the mob spawns, the Shadow Knights all Harm Touch. It became so fast that you could not, like as a normal player, you couldn't see the mob. It would just appear as a corpse. I have a video I'll link if someone doesn't link it first. Just kidding, you guys can't link. All right, so there's the link. Watch this 11-second clip of a Veneral Satyr poop sock during the HT Wars. The orcs are too low level to social aggro me, I believe. Some of the Great Khans have aggroed, but some don't. Also, when you're higher level, like, you know, the higher the level differential, the lower their aggro radius. Or if I was lower level than them, the bigger the aggro radius. So it might be a combination of those two factors. They'll only add on me if I get really low HP or if I sit down. Hey, thanks for the follow, Massive. So if you look at that video at 4 seconds, VS spawns, and his model isn't finished loading into the world when he becomes Veneral Sathir's corpse. So right now we just came to Crushbone because Black Burrow's getting a little old, and we're gonna do the Taskmaster to get the 2 AC earrings he drops. Yeah, exactly. It's like you have these huge poop socks with 100 plus people showing up, and they're showing up because, you know, a raid was called and you want to get DKP. But really, only the person who was piloting the Shadow Knight boxes needed to be present. It was sad, and it took them way too long to fix such an obvious and major problem. Hey Vith, thanks for the follow. That was on Fippy, that video. Fippy had a sister called a sister server called Vulak, which was at the same time and had the same problem. Me and Biggs' guild used to war back then. Well, they made Harm Touch suck. Not suck, they just made it, you know, not do that. And then they buffed the raid mobs like crazy. Raid mobs now have Mitigation of the Mighty, which is a wild buff. So all raid mobs now have quadruple, I want to say, quadruple the HP of what they used to have in Classic. So Nagvin has like 120k HP. They hit for double. They proc, well they don't proc, they have a constant aura called Presence of the Mighty, which reduces everyone around them's resist by 40 points. They have an ability called Mark of the Old Ways, which says if there are more than 10 pets on them, all pets do increasingly less and less damage. They ignore pet aggro, so if you are a mage and your pet is taunting, the dragon is being taunted by you. He will run directly at you. And finally, Mitigation of the Mighty. They mitigate a raw 40% of all damage. So let's say like after the AC calculations, you confirm that you hit, he doesn't dodge, repost, or anything, then you would do 10 damage after AC. Now you actually only do 6 damage. And it does the same thing for spells too. So it's way harder than it used to be. And that's the reason why raid mobs are harder on TLP than P99. Yeah, Cabes, they did. After 5 expansions, MOTM is gone. Dude, this Legionnaire has a lot of health. I was there for the server first, Nagfin and Vox, on the new P99 servers, and I felt that they were a joke, yeah. Like, I was with the raid and we were setting up, and I was like, dude, if we set up here, we're gonna wipe. But then we didn't wipe because it was so easy. Yo, dog, did this Elven Slave just heal this Legionnaire? Come on. Stockholm Syndrome. Dude, stop it. Don't do this. You're embarrassing yourself. They tend to launch new progression servers every 12 to 16 months. Occasionally, they'll do them even faster. It's kind of unfortunate because it fragments the community. It'd be nice to not do that. But then again, apparently their new servers can only handle like a fraction of the community anyway, so maybe it's all for the best. Ooh, full air. I don't know, man. This server is, I want to say, 9 days old, 9 or 10 days old, so very recently. So if you guys are thinking about starting on Aridune, I just linked the Zone Experience modifier list here. I went through and personally tested all those, so you can take that to the bank. They modified Zems not too long ago, so most people didn't know what the new Zem values are. Now you know. So those are the optimal leveling routes and everything that you can plot with those numbers. I think that the server software, hardware, whatever, is worse. I think they've gone to a cheaper option, and that's why the queues were so bad. Like, well, you played on a lot of TLPs with me, and I think personally that a lot of those other TLPs, especially Agnar, seemed more popular than Aridune at the start. I don't know if you feel the same. I know that's just an anecdote. But yeah, it definitely felt more popular. What's with this weird model? Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it, Vive. Thank you so much. Honestly, level 6, just staying close to home somewhere would be fine. If you can make it to North Row and do mobs in North Row for some reason has a 12% experience bonus. It's like the only non-dungeon zone to have a Zem that we found. But I think you could probably do like the entrance of Guk at level 6 even, which has a nice 40% Zem. There should be like 5 or 6 mobs you can kill. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of boxing either. I think it's just because I suck. My ADHD makes it really hard to focus on more than one thing. Not real ADHD, guys, just millennial ADHD, don't worry. Oh no, this pawn has no idea what he's gotten himself into. Jeez, he just falls over. Yep, it's for this bag. Check this out. Dude, this is a lower triv than handmade backpacks, and it's better in all regards. Size giant, which is better than handmade. Weight is a ½ pound less than handmade. Same slots, same weight reduction. So I got my 3rd skin. I mostly fail when I try to make these, but I think I'll be successful next time I try it. I just need to get some spiraling silk together. I also picked up a high quality bear skin, so I'll probably just make an attempt at a handmade backpack just for the skill ups. Hey, thanks for the follow, Metal. I'll let you guys decide if I delete the character. Probably not, unless chat really wants it deleted. I deleted the server first level 50 character on Aerodune. I wonder if the Warlord is something I can grab without training myself. Looks like they're pulling it. I wish there wasn't an invisible wall on top of this. That's what I'm thinking. I'll leave the 50 there as like a trophy on my character select screen. I'm telling you, the last thing we'll do on this Pally, if he makes level 50, is we're gonna go to Plane of Fear and try to 1v1 CT, get that nice death touch. Hey Metal, my server first 50 was on a mage. No longer exists though, has been deleted. Yeah, no, I'm gonna kill the Soulfire dude successfully, so it won't be the last thing. Just need 10,000 arrows and 1 day of vacation time to kite. Man, these respawn timers are making me real sad, boys. So basically what we did was every time we were getting near a level where we needed some more spells, we would have one person bind at the camp, origin back, and buy all the spells, and then gate back to us. And we would rotate through whoever was the lowest EXP, or the highest EXP. That way it didn't mess things up too much. Don't worry, Volork, I don't think I will ever be in Sleeper's Tomb on this server. Hey, thanks for the follow, Valerian Algorithm. Alright, boys, we are going to try to zone out because we're going to get killed. Luckily, pathing is bad. We aggroed the Thaumaturgist. I really hope he doesn't cast Dooming Darkness or something on me. Yeah, I think that's what they should do as well. Just let everyone experience whichever version they'd like. Alright, we'll hang out here and see what this train brings. Maybe it's something we can handle. Yeah, AOCs are automatically whichever version of the zone is actually up. I don't know where these mobs are that I trained. They're really taking their time. Hey, Hyper, I am in Crushbone. Yeah, AAs are awesome. I really love AAs. Dude, what's going on? Where is this train? Someone intercept my train? I'm not sure about the aesthetic armor. I don't really use much. Dude, I'm gonna walk over here and get rooted like an idiot. Look, Emperor Crush is up. This is really dumb. I should zone, but I don't feel like it. Dude, I believe you. I think that's what's gonna happen too. Oh, there's our guy, dude. Someone's gonna come steal that. I just need this slaver to die sometime today. I don't think anyone will actually steal it. I hope not. A lot move on, a lot stay. Every server is different though. So like the problem right now is that most of the people who are inclined to stay for the long haul are staying for the long haul on some other servers, you know what I mean? So each new server has more and more high concentration of the people who will leave next year. If that makes sense. The furthest two progressed servers are Finny and Cello. Cello will hit live, I want to say in March. It'll be the first TLP server to go all the way to live. It'll be the first, like Combine went to the expansion right before live, so they pretty much made it too. But it'll be the first time since like 2006 or something crazy that it's happened. A rare creature scowls at you, ready to attack. Hey, thanks for the follow, Hyper. Dresden, appreciate the follow, dude. Thank you. Beast Lords are cool, yeah. I think it's fun to play Beast Lord. I did some solo Beast Lord play up to like level 25, and it wasn't that bad. I need to pull these away from the healers. See if this is close enough. You can't resist EQ. Hey, thanks for the follow, Leafy Greens. Every server, I'm like, yeah, this is my last server. I'm retired. Then at the next server, all your friends hit you up. You watch some streams, you're like, man, I gotta go back. I gotta kill some orcs and Crushbone again. It's just like, you know, just consider it like an annual holiday. The TLP server launch every year, just like Christmas. It comes in the end of the holiday season. Right? These guys healing this mob is why these keys are staying in my bags. He's gonna get healed now that he's running. Yo, dog, if you could run a little slower, that'd be great. Come on, earring. Leather whip. Sad. That's really awesome, man, that you're playing with your sons. What classes are they playing? Hey, thanks for the follow. Thanks for the follow, post-flight. Uh-oh, we got some drama in the zone. Someone telling someone else to leave. That's going to be a hard trio to kill. A lot of healing there. Right? Telling me to get out. I assume they're talking to this guy that's running around just killing random stuff with a high-level druid behind him. Given the respawn timers, it might be faster to just cruise through the picks and keep checking on taskmasters. Best solo class? I would say Necromancer. Best duo class is definitely Enchanter, but I think when it comes to pure soloing, Necromancer wins just because it's got a few more get out of jail free cards. Looks like these guys are doing slavers too. Yeah, Rangers are really solid tanks for group content. No issues at all there. They just have a bad rap for no reason, basically from Classic. People inviting me to groups chat. They see that shining star of light and the shielded knife, and they can't help themselves. So we're locked out of pick zoning again for like 5 minutes. This zone seems like they've got the slavers pretty well covered here. But I can just manually zone out and zone back in, and it should put me at least back in the base pick. Wizard would be cool, but I bet you would never regret putting a mage in once you saw how powerful it was. Yeah, Pit, I quested those 2 items. It took me like 50. So like the Shield of Knife is a RNG quest reward. You can get some really terrible stuff, or you can get that. It took me like 50 tries to get the shield. The other one is a guaranteed quest result, but it's like a tough and dangerous quest, so... So I assume the Taskmasters basically drop 1 item, and if you see them with the whip in their hand, it means they don't have the ear. I wish there was more cool whips in the game. I think the whip attack animation looks pretty neat. Yeah, I've seen a lot of new players too. I'm really happy to see it. It's good. It's also like crazy surprising that we would get new blood in EQ. I think part of it might be like people streaming and new people checking it out, or people who played a long time ago but see it randomly on Twitch and decided to check it out again because of the streams. Yeah, I watched Hotshot GG play. He was an entertaining stream to watch. He was talking about he was in Lower Guck and he was talking about how like there was only 2 types of mobs, like they needed more mob variety in EQ compared to other MMOs. And we were like, where'd you level up? And he was like, I did Unrest and then I went to Lower Guck. Like, yeah, dude. Well, that's why. Yeah, Ko's definitely like the biggest streamer to touch EverQuest probably ever. These slavers are doing some deeps. Charm, I guess it's a weird question, but yeah, I've got some. Well, that's good. I'm glad that Ko has like a positive impact on the game like that. Ko led his own guild on Agnar for a while. All right, boys, let's see if that whip theory of ours is correct. I'm not sure what their loot type was. Yeah, you know, regardless of what happens to Pantheon and everything, I think that Pantheon actually probably brought EQ some new people. People who were like interested in Pantheon and followed it and kept hearing from so many EverQuest fans how great EQ was and how similar Pantheon was supposed to be, etc. Made probably a lot of people who hadn't played EQ but had played other games try EQ for the first time. Yeah, I'm not gonna make any comments about the release, right? But we'll see. Man, I don't know that I even trust Daybreak to make a new EQ. Like, I don't think that they know what the EQ community wants to play. I think if they're making another game, they're just using the EQ name, and it's not going to be catered towards people like us who play this old game. You know what I mean? And also, like, they can barely keep the lights on. They can barely keep the servers running. How do I trust them to make a whole new game? Honestly, I just don't. But I would love to be proven wrong. Hey, thanks for the follow, One-Eyed Pete. At this point, I just hope EQ Live stays around for a couple more years. For a while there, it was looking like the future of EQ might just be emulated servers, back when like all the servers were crashing every other day. Honestly, the old graphics look better than the new graphics too. Like, something about the animations. So EQ graphics are like bad, but they strive for like a realism in the representation of things, which I think works very well, as opposed to like the cartoony, overly stylized graphics that a lot of games use. Rip. Another whip. I gotta wait a few more seconds to pick over. Man, I would love to play Vanguard. I totally missed that MMO, never got to play. Don't you do it. Resetting my stupid pick timer. I heard the emulator is not really like close to being actual Vanguard gameplay, sadly. Ooh, ominous. What level were you and what class were you when you tried to fight Shinlord? No way, dude. You tried it at 30 last night? Give me the deets, dude. I aspire to do the same thing, maybe at a higher level. By his own lay on hands or by other mobs in the room? So do you think you could have killed him solo 1v1 if you had been able to get him in a place where mobs did not heal him? Yo, dude, I don't care. I will pull him to the zone line and like chain zone until I get him solo. Did he have the Ghoulbane? Oh, dang, dude, that sucks. But at least I know there's hope. So did you fight him right in his room, or did you pull him out somewhere else? Okay, yeah, so I've heard that you gotta passy pull him, take him into one of the hallways somewhere nearby to try to get a clean shot at it. So here's my other question. What's your gear like? Like, what weapon are you using right now? Yeah, I won't be rocking a Myth two-hander, I know that much. Hey, Pitten, thanks for the follow, dude. Thanks. Look, this guy needs the shield so bad he doesn't even have one in his offhand. Good luck, boys. Well, all the bodies over there by the slavers is not a good sign. Looks like their Taskmaster died 5 minutes ago. Oh, man. We got groups doing work over here. Yeah, boys, this pick zone is not the one. Hey, Dresden, thanks. Appreciate it, man. Myth two-hander is better than a Ghoulbane, but you need the Ghoulbane to get your Soulfire and your Epic and all that. But if Ominous can almost do it with a Myth two-hander, if only, you know, only stopped because of the healers, then I should definitely be able to do it at like 35, 5 levels higher. All right, boys, it's 11 o'clock. Yesterday, a very loving robot raided our stream with a bunch of people, so we're gonna probably return the favor. If you guys don't know a very loving robot, he is Azalil. He was an EQ developer from, or designer from like Kunark, I want to say, where he was an apprentice developer, maybe Velius, all the way up through Dragons of Norath at least. A lot of great information and a really fun stream, so let's go raid him. Nice, those are some good raid numbers right there. All right, last chance, here we go, raid.
Yeah, I mean, Zaide God raided me with a party of 80. That is a legitimate raid. We were just talking about you, dude. I've got to say. Paul Rules Rara, thank you for the follow. We were just talking about how great your stream is, man. Well, if you're here for the loot with that many people, you're gonna get it. Jerry Vicious, thank you for the follow. Chris, likewise. Mostly caffeinated, good to see you again. Robawab, same deal, thank you. Sergeant Slate, do you only kill things I actually want to kill myself? I guess Thank you, buddy. Thanks, Sergeant Slate. All right, I think chat's caught up. Well, there. Right on, guys. So Zaide, I felt bad. I logged in basically to do some technical checks for the interview, and later on tonight, because I didn't trust not actually being live and trying